Hey guys, I just pulled up to KT Dragon and we are about to get started with our very first interview. What is up, everybody? What is up, everybody? It's Lil D here. I'm at KT Dragon Tattoo Studio in San Jose, California, about to film our pilot episode for our channel. So stay tuned, and we have a lot of fun content coming your way. What is up, everybody? We are here with our very first pilot episode for Inkedin. I am here with
Inkman.
Inkman. How are you doing today, Inkman?
Pretty good. I woke up today, got a good start to my morning, got a really good workout in, and had a good breakfast, and now I'm here.
Nice. What are you working on today?
Today we're working on my client Howard. Howard, you want to say what's up to the camera if you can? Got to kind of do a twist back. Yeah, Howard's been coming to me for a couple years now. 3 years now.
3 years.
Extending his half sleeve to a full sleeve. We're doing a frog samurai with some money coins, some bamboo, some waves.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into tattooing? How long you been in the game?
I've been tattooing for 18 years now. I enjoy playing sports, being active, doing a little bit of kickboxing. I have some skits online, you know, it's hella funny, just to kind of like make everybody laugh. I like it. I like laughing, I like having a good time. How did I get into tattooing? Ooh, that's a loaded question right there. I was doing tattoos starting 16.
We do not promote underage tattooing. Please be 18 or have a parent consent.
Even to this day, I will not tattoo underage people. Your career to be thrown away. You ain't trying to get canceled here in America. Even though I got tattooed when I was 16, not gonna lie. The reason why we promote that is because sometimes when people are like under 18, they start thinking about tattoos that they want at the moment on the spot.
Oh, 100%.
My frame kind of changes a little bit after you get a little older. Like when you're 17 and your first name all the way across your chest sounds really good. But then whenever you're 27, that first name across the chest doesn't sound very appealing anymore.
Bad tattoos make for the best stories.
Right, especially the tattoo artists with shitty tattoos, right?
Kind of like a thing for tattoo artists is all tattoo artists have to have at least like 1 or 2 bad tattoos. Like,
there's a saying, you can't trust a tattoo artist if they don't have shitty tattoos on.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
So I did start a tattoo when I was 16. Tattooed on a couple of my buddies at first, and I told my mom that I wanted to start tattooing. So she was like, yeah, I think that would be great. I'm going to buy you a tattoo kit off of eBay. And I think it was like $120.
Yeah.
It was like 2 tattoo machines. And back then they were cool machines.
Right.
And it was like 2 tubes, a bunch of needles, and some bottles of ink. So it was like a whole shebang, the whole combo.
We love the moms that support us.
Thanks, Mom. Hope you see this one day and remember that day. So she buys me the tattoo kit, right? And I want to say about 1 week later, I was tattooing a couple of my buddies. I did a couple hand tattoos, a couple finger tattoos, and they all came out shitty. I fucked all my friends up.
Right.
I fucked all of them up. None of them came out good. And then, like, at the end, I want to tattoo myself. So I was tattooing my leg, and at that time, my mom was at work. Whenever she came home while I was tattooing myself, yeah, let's just say she wasn't happy seeing me tattoo myself. She walks through the door. She goes, "What are you doing?" And she looks down and bam, slaps me right in front of all my friends. And I was supposed to be like the cool tattoo artist guy tattooing myself.
Yeah,
you know?
you're supposed to be the cool one of the group.
And she just straight obliterated my face in front of all my friends. It just killed my ego. It was hella fucked up. I got mad. I threw a little film like, oh, fuck this shit. I'm running away. Walk outside, kick the trash can, walk like 10 minutes down the street. And I'm like, all right, I got to go home now. So I ended up coming home, told mom I'm sorry, you know, and I was 16 at the time. So
that's true. You're only 16.
Yeah,
so.
I was a little mad, you know. But it's okay. It's a funny story because that's how I first started tattooing. Fast forward a little bit later, you know, at that time we were all young, bad kids, getting ourselves into shit. So I ended up getting in some trouble. I was hanging out with some guys, and I still love them to death. They're all really good people. Mm-hmm. Stuck with each other, side by side. Did a lot of dirt together. Just really good friends from my childhood. But we all got in some trouble. I got in some trouble, ended up in a bad place. I was in prison for for 4.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time is when I really started tattooing. I really got into tattooing because a little like 6 months before I was 16, doing tattooing, tattooing my friends and doing all the bullshit, fucking them all up. It was just like child's play, just like kind of learning, getting myself in an industry, trying to ask any tattoo artist I knew if they teach me. But 18 years ago, nobody wanted to teach nobody shit.
Right.
Like they're not gonna. They don't want you to take their money.
They're all kind of like gatekeeping around that time, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially 18 years ago, for sure. Everybody was just gatekeeping because anybody learning how to tattoo was competition.
Right. There's like that saying, like the student becomes better than the master. It's like they didn't even want you to be the student at that point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If they like knew that you was gonna be around or a close friend or something, then yeah, you pretty much had like no chance of getting into the tattoo industry. When I was in prison, actually, that's where I kind of got into tattooing. And the thing is, like, my first like year, it was kind of like it wasn't necessarily prison. It was jail, going through like the courts and the lawyers and all that shit and getting convicted. So there wasn't any tattoo going on. It was all like stick poke. It was just like stick poking each other with a staple or a needle, and you wrap it with a thread, and you dip it into the ink, and you just kind of pop it like that. And to be honest with you, it all came out pretty shitty. Honestly, you couldn't get a really good strong line,
Right.
But yeah, that's how it started. After the second year, which I was about 17, 18 around that time, 17 and a half, 18. That's when I actually started getting into tattooing. Yeah, into tattooing was very, very interesting. So the prison that I went into is called Walnut Grove. It was a prison in Mississippi. I'm not gonna lie, it was probably one of the worst prisons in America. The worst prison in Mississippi. It was a shit show. They put everybody into the 6-month red.
Right.
And that's kind of like a program where like for 6 months they put you in there just so you can get accustomed to how the prison is ran, like the times they feed you, the times that shift change, how long you get out, how long you're in your cell. It's just pretty much to get the logistics of how the prison is ran. After that, they ship you out to general population. 5 different units, and there's 4 zones in each one, with consisting of 60 people each zone. So I want to say it's roughly like 2,000 people. Choice of 6 times 4.
24.
About 24 different zones you can get into. Unit 5 being like the best. It's like sunshine, flowers, it's beautiful TVs and everything. Unit 6 is like in between. Unit 7 is like horrible. It's like you don't want to be there. It's like that's where everyone's getting stabbed, everyone's getting beat up. Whenever the list usually comes out on where you're going for general population, the whole zone runs to it to see like where you're going.
Kind of like an audition list.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's like all the casting and everything.
Like, where are we going? You right. And everyone always prays to go to 5 because it's chill there.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to go to 7. So I'm like, oh, I hope I go to 5. I hope I go to 5. Looking at the list, and lo and behold, 7. I was like, of course, fuck, man. Like, I think I put me in a shitty asshole. So the day of me transferring to general population, I remember going through, and right when I walked through the doors, it felt shitty. Like the walls were all crusty, the paint was all chipped. It was just an ugly zone. It was just nasty. There was no TVs, there were no microwaves. I'm like, how are people even living in here? The lights in the shower were flickering, and I was like, it just looks like a horror movie in here. It looks terrible. First day I was in in my cell, my cellmate at the time, we're having a conversation. He's asking the usual questions. What are you in here for? How old are you? What's your name? Blah, blah. And mid-conversation, somebody comes and knocks on the door. And I'm like, all right, that might be your boy or something. So he runs to the door and goes, oh, yeah. You need me to hold that? I got you. The dude slides a fucking samurai sword this fucking long under the door. I'm just like, and he runs to his bunk and slides under his mattress and like, yeah, and what were we talking about again?
Oh my god!
And I was like, yeah, we're just gonna pretend like we didn't see that fucking samurai sword. But so we go back to conversing. I'm just like, yo, like, where the fuck am I? Like, you motherfuckers got samurai swords. I thought we were in prison.
I mean, yeah, I feel like that's hella random.
Yeah, it was really random.
But pulled out a whole ass katana, like, in the middle of prison.
It was pretty wild. But that just kind of gives you a little more context, in depth on like how that zone was. So a couple hours later, they open all the doors for us to come out. It's called rec. You come out, you socialize with everybody. When I came out, the first person that approached me, his name was Michael, but he went by Cholo. And he came up with me, of course, came to me like the usual questions. Hey, what's up, man? What are you in here for? What are you affiliated with? You know, all the usual questions they asked you. You know, I told him I answered his questions, whatever, and he was like, okay, let me give you a tour of 7 Bravo. The first stop he brings me to, we walked into this cell, and the window was covered. So whenever you open the door, the whole cell was just smoked out with cigarettes. And I was just like, oh shit, it's smoky here. And I seen this another guy. He was over here tattooing another guy, and it was like 4 people. They all turn around, and look at me, and I go, "What's up, you guys?" And they kind of like ignore me. I'm like, "All right, it's cool." So I go over there and walk over. Cholo introduces me to everybody. They're all like, yeah, what's up, whatever. And I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting. They're tattooing in here. I'm a little more happier being in 7 Bravo because there's tattooing going on.
It's like something that you're a little bit like more familiar with, like something that you have in common with them.
Something I'd like to get into in the future, you know? So it's like at that time, I haven't done any tattoos. So I'm like, all right, you know, that's pretty cool. The next cell we go to, it was another guy had a cigarette in his mouth. He's tattooing. He looks up and goes, "Oh, what's up, bro?" So I'm sitting here, I'm like, "Oh shit!" There's another tattoo artist. He's tattooing this guy, smoking a cigarette. So he's like, "Oh, yo, this is Jeremiah." I'm like, "What's up, Jeremiah?" Blah blah. And then he goes, "Follow me. We're gonna go to another cell. It's a black guy named C-Ron, and he's tattooing too." And he's like, "Oh, what's up, bro?" And he goes, "Out of this whole entire prison, there's only 3 tattoo artists, and the only 3 tattoo artists are on 7 Bravo." And I was like, holy fuck, how the fuck did I land in here? You know, it was like kind of like destined to be, right? Because like they could have shipped me to 7 Alpha, 7 Bravo, 7 Delta. They could have shipped me to 6, 5, 3, 4, any of these places, and nowhere else they're tattooing. This is the only place. Everybody in the whole compound wanted to get shipped to 7 Bravo in particular, just because they had the best tattoo artists in that prison, in 7 Bravo.
It was meant to be then.
So that's pretty much how I got into tattooing. Not gonna lie, at first it was a little difficult because a lot of people in there they didn't want me to tattoo. They didn't want to see me win. You know, I was just another guy that came in and knew how to draw. And they were probably like, "Oh, his drawings are pretty fire," but you know, I don't want to loan him my machine.
Right.
And then one day, we were all on lockdown. My roommate was like, "Hey, if I slide you $10, can we borrow your machine for the night?" And he was like, "Yeah, you know, quick way to make $10." And $10 in prison is a lot of money. You can do a lot with $10.
$10.
You can't do a lot in America out here, but you can do a lot with it in prison. Send the machine over, send some ink, the whole setup. And to be honest with you, I didn't have a clue in what the hell I was doing. I was just like, all right, I'm gonna just put the needle in here. We're just gonna fucking dip the ink and just go. And I'm not gonna lie, it came out pretty decent. It was a portrait of his mom, grandma, but I personally thought it looked like his dog because it was just so bad. But everyone else liked it.
Whatever works, I guess.
I was like, that's a horrible portrait, but it came out, you know, decent.
In those kind of circumstances, you gotta work with what you have. At that point, do they really want the tattoo for the artwork, or is it more just to be blasted? Like, to
they just want to be blasted.
It, you know,
they just want to be tatted. They don't care at that point.
Yeah,
they want to go to prison and be like, man, I got tatted. You feel me? I'm blasted. Went to prison and did 1,000 push-ups. Got a little pecs and some tats, you know? That's kind of like how I got started. I want to say that was like the 2nd year I was in there. And like, there was a lot of events in there that kind of just led up to where like, yo, I'm kind of destined to be a tattoo artist. Right. I went through a transfer one time back to my hometown to go to court for a separate charge while I was in prison. On the way back, I was going through the transfer facility. It was a completely different prison. There was like 200 people in one zone, and it was an open bunk. So that means like you don't go into a cell. It's just like open all 24 hours. Right. During that stay, I was there for 2 months. And it was pretty cool because there was a lot of older cats, a lot of people who've been doing time for a long time. So there was a lot of structure. The only problem was like while I was there, you know, I didn't really know anybody. I was doing a lot of drawing, so a lot of people wanted me to tattoo on them. And I've had plenty of offers on people who are like, hey, you know, I'll get you a tattoo machine if you do my whole body suit. And I'm like, nah, fuck that. It's just not worth it. You know what I'm saying? Because like, generally a tattoo machine went for like $30-$40. But it's like, I'm not going to sit here. I can make, you know, $300-$400 on a whole bodysuit, which is pretty crazy.
That is crazy to think about.
That was kind of the price.
Considering how much I've spent on my tattoos, $300-$400 for a bodysuit.
But,
must be nice.
But if you go to prison, it might be a lot cheaper for sure. Because catch a felony, it'll be a lot cheaper.
Maybe I should just go to prison so I could get blasted.
While I was in that facility, it was pretty crazy because Everyone kept asking me to tattoo. It's like, nah, I'm not gonna do a fucking bodysuit. That's gonna take me fucking a whole month or
Bodysuit is a lot of
something.
commitment.
It is. It's a lot of work. And then randomly, this one guy just walks up to me one day, and I swear I think he's a fucking angel that just popped into my life or something one day. Don't know his name, never seen him before. He walks up to me and he goes, "Hey, will you do a tattoo for me? I have a tattoo machine. I'll trade you." And the first thing I'm thinking, I'm like, this dude probably wants his whole body or ridiculous, large, and unreasonable. He goes, "Nah, I want a pyramid with an eye in the middle with 3 numbers and a name, and that's it." And I was like, "Yo, that's like a $3 tattoo. Are you sure?"
Yeah, simple
And he was
enough.
like, "Yeah, bro, do that for me and it's yours." I was like, "All right, say less. I got you." So I ended up doing the tattoo. Took me like, I don't know, one hour, maybe 2. It wasn't much. Yeah, he gave me the machine. He said, "It's yours." Even then, after that, I'd never seen him again. He just popped about nowhere for that one moment to give me my tattoo machine. So that kind of kicked off my tattoo career in prison. That machine made me a lot of money. I made a lot of money, even for your regular person. I was even sending my mom money home. I wasn't enough to pay the bills and shit, but I was like, "Hey, mom, this is what I can do while I'm in here." So I was telling people would come in and be like, "I want a whole sleeve." I'm like, "All right, send me $100. Send it to this phone number."
Yeah.
I don't want it because I have a lot of other people giving me food and canteen. So it's like I don't need the money. But I just felt good that I was able to like make money while I was in prison.
So, take care of your mom in little ways that you can. Honestly, in this economy, it might just be smarter to go to prison.
But that's pretty much the gist of how I got into it. Fast forward like 3-4 years later, there was a lot of shit that happened in between, but that story is for another time. I got out of prison in 2010, and at that time I was determined to find a shop, any shop. I didn't give a shit if it was a hood shop, a country shop, a broke down trailer. I don't give a shit. I just needed to put my foot in the door somehow. I attacked about 5 or 6 different shops. Nobody wanted to accept me. The only thing I had was a prison portfolio of drawings. Even though I've spent thousands of hours tattooing in prison, I just had nothing to show for it, Like getting a job at a professional tattoo shop, people always want a professional portfolio.
Right.
Unless you want to become an apprentice, And the thing is, like, I was like, I'm willing to become an apprentice. I don't mind, I really don't. I need to get my foot in the door somehow.
Right.
So after like the 5th or 6th shop, I found a shop. Fucking bumfuck nowhere, deep off in Mississippi. And the place is called Hearts on Fire. Deep off in the fucking boonies. You can drive down the street and see tractors hauling like hay and shit. And then we had an exotic pet shop next door that had like monkeys and pigs and snakes. Wow. I used to like going over there and hanging out over there. When I started working at that shop, there was already an apprentice there. And my boss at the time was like, "Hey, we have a guy here named Polly. Both of you guys are apprentices, and to be honest with you, only need one. So one of you guys have to show me who wants it more." Ooh. So I was like, "Shit, say less. I just got out of prison. I got that penitentiary D. I'm at your neck. You know what I'm saying?" So I was pulling up 2 hours early every day, sweeping, mopping, cleaning up the windows, cleaning up the walls, doing everything.
Right.
Everything I had to do to make shit work, make shit happen.
Right.
And the other guy, he came in every day around 4 o'clock, stayed for 1-2 hours some days, and then he was out. Needless to say, it was like 2 weeks in, my boss was like, "I know who I want." That's why I got started in that little bumfuck ass nowhere shop. And shout out to Danny if he ever sees this video. I appreciate the fuck out of him. He got me into the door. He taught me how to use coil machines. He taught me how to make needles. He taught me a lot of knowledge that like the new tattooers nowadays will never know. And I appreciate that because whenever I learned under him, he was already 14 years in. So I was like, he's a fucking OG. It's funny because for the last like 14 years, he always told me how he was gonna retire this year, and he's still tattooing. Every tattoo artist probably knows out there that's our dream to retire, but we just can't.
If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
I'm not gonna lie. If I don't tattoo for at least like 3-4 days or a week, I start feeling like a crackhead.
A little antsy. You start getting like a little itchy. You're like,
I gotta
do something.
I gotta tattoo. So somebody has to feel the pain.
Does it give you like a little bit of like enjoyment, like excitement when you see your clients kind of like squirming and like going through it, like screaming during their session?
It depends.
Right here, he's sitting like a rock. Yeah, so
it depends on who it is.
Okay.
Because if it's like one of your homeboys who's always talking shit, it's just fucking like it's just a straight asshole. This shit don't hurt. You know what I'm saying? I got a couple of friends like that. I'm not gonna say their names. Actually, I'm gonna say their name. Denton, that's you. It don't hurt. It don't hurt. And other guys. Like I got a couple other friends too. Like they act all tough, but that needle hit is a whole different story.
It's a different ball game.
So like I'm not gonna lie, like sometimes I do get a little joint and be like, yeah, a little pain. And also not only with that, like I used to train with Dan a lot, little kickboxing, and he used to always kick my ass. And he's a 4th degree black belt, so he get a good couple licks on me. I'm like, I'm gonna get you back one day. And now that he's getting his leg sleeve from me, we even now.
Leg sleeve, probably one of the most painful tattoos that you can ever get. I mean, you have your head, neck, hands, everything, both of your legs tatted. What would you say is the most painful spot to get a tattoo?
A lot of people ask me that question, and I always respond with that exact answer: the leg.
Leg.
And shout out to my boss, Tommy. I'm not gonna lie, when I first got my first leg sleeve, he just hit me right in the ditch. I was like, bro, you could have started at the ankle, the shin. Nope. He just went straight in the ditch.
He said, "No mercy in this household."
It was like a 5, 6, or 7 hour session. And the whole fucking session, he just heard me screaming cuss words. I just said every cuss word I can, and it kind of helped. But it was bad. It was all bad. So I would say the leg sleeves are pretty tough. So whenever you're ready to up your tattoo game and you're ready to be a badass and say you took some pain, get your leg sleeves. You got your chest, your shoulders, your arms. You think you're hot shit. Get your leg sleeve.
Get your leg tatted.
Yeah,
that's what real pain is.
So that's pretty much how I got into tattooing. Working at that shop, I worked there for a couple years. I paid my due diligence there. It's kind of fucked up how I got fired there too. I was doing everything right, going there, doing my job, tattooing. I started making them, some decent money.
Right.
I would say my past kind of caught up to me. So I remember one day I was there by myself. My boss's wife came up there to come and just check up on the shop, whatever. And I'm in the middle of a tattoo. I see this little Honda pull up, and there was like 4 Asian dudes hop out. And I kind of like squint my eyes. Oh shit, I recognize them. Those are my enemies from a long time ago. This doesn't look well. So I put my machine down. I meet them at the door so nothing happens inside the shop. They pull up and they're all like, "Hey bro, what's up, man? I heard you came looking for me in my nail salon." And they start throwing little gang sets. I'm like, bro, relax. I've been tattooing, dog. And they weren't trying to hear it. They was like, it was some bald Asian dude with tattoos and glasses, and of course I fit the description. I was like, bro, that's like probably like 80% of the Asian gangbangers out there. Glasses,
100%.
Bald head, all Asians got bad eyes. But pretty much, I fit the description. They was getting whoopty, and they was like had their hand in their pants and shit, like they had guns for sure. And I really thought something was gonna go down. There was kind of like a point where I was like, shit, I might get shot again. I'm not ready for this, but fuck, whatever. And then, anyways, I kind of de-escalated the situation. They was all loud and whoopty-whoop, but I kind of talked my way out of it. I didn't have no strap on me. I'm on probation. I'm trying to live a good fucking life. Trying to get back into society, And these guys end up leaving. But the only thing is, my boss's wife at the time was very spooked. Right. She probably didn't see no gang activity like that in her whole entire life unless it was on movies or some shit.
Right.
So she was not having it. My boss wasn't having it. And he kind of came to me and was like, "Hey, you kind of got to go." That's whenever I was like, "All right, I got to start my journey and I'm doing something." And after that, I started tattooing at the house for like, I don't know, like about 2 years or so. I couldn't find another shop to get into. I had no strong portfolio, and I just had to do what I had to do. And I wanted to be a tattoo artist. And I will say this now, I strongly advise people don't tattoo at home. It's just not the right way to go. If anybody has advice and they're getting into tattooing, I would say find a professional shop, learn from somebody, and it helps you get going a lot faster. I tattooed at home for a little bit. I started traveling around. I had friends in all different states and getting all across like Texas, New Orleans, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida, just traveling around tattooing, finding work pretty much. Where work wanted me, that's where I was going to tattoo.
You gotta follow where the money is going.
Pretty much. At the time, I didn't think that it was network. It was just like, hey, it's money.
Right.
This dude wants me to drive 4 or 5 hours, 3 or 4 hours away. I can tattoo this dude for 2 days in a row, make a quick $1,000 or something. $500 a day. Hell yeah, sign me up.
Yeah,
hell yeah. I had that prison mentality. I needed that money.
You come out of prison, you're a hustler.
You got to. I was just on a hustle mentality for years, and after that, I moved to New Orleans and I tattooed there for a little bit. My first tattoo convention, I went and attended with my boy Sal. Shout out to Sal, slinging that ink in New Orleans. That's when I met my current boss now, Tommy, at a tattoo convention. We kicked it off really well. We had a great night. We had a lot of fun. We went out, we drank, we gambled. Just had a great fucking night, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me, "Hey, come guest spot my shop one day." And I was like, "All right, I'll come guest spot." And I hit him up like a month or so later and was like, "Hey, instead of guest spotting, can I just move over there?" And he was like, "Fuck it, come by." And yeah, that's how I landed in California. That's how I'm here. The story driving here is a whole nother story.
I feel like eventually on this page we will have like an exclusive Inkman interview. He's got a long history, a lot of stories. That's why subscribe and pass.
Wait, to my OnlyFans or
no? Subscribe to Inkedin.
Inkden, that's right,
Inkedin.
I mean, like, I'm down to make OnlyFans, you know.
Just tattoo content.
The straight tattoo content.
Subscribe to our Only Tats.
Oh.
What do you think are some changes that you've seen over your years of tattooing?
First off, I'm gonna say there's been a lot of changes in like tattoo machines, tattoo products. Changed for the better for sure. Tattooing is a lot more convenient. Tattooing is a lot more accessible. It's a lot easier. That could be a double-edged sword though. It could be better, it could be worse. Especially for some people getting into the industry, it's easier for them, but then also at the same time, I feel like some people feel like they don't need the right proper training, so they go off and do things on their own, which is not a bad thing because there are some great artists that come out from that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time though, they get disconnected from the community as an artist, you know. And sometimes I feel like in order to better yourself, you want to be around like other artists. To let me know, like, hey, am I fucking up, or is it too dark? Is it too light?
Right.
It could be this, it could be that, and that's how you better yourself and become better as an artist. Because if you constantly doing something and you think your shit's good, you're just gonna have the same mind frame, like everything I do is good. You know what I mean? Nowadays, you have to really put yourself out there.
Right.
Back then, it was just like people. It was word of mouth. People come to you, they come seek you out. People are a lot more sensitive now.
Right.
So we have to really watch what we say. And you know, back then it was never like that. You just say what the fuck you want to say. You know? Other than that, other changes in the industry, I really love the convenience, especially like the batteries, the wireless machines. Whenever I first started tattooing and we had the wires, it was so freaking annoying having that wire just fling everywhere.
Right.
And don't let it. And especially when the wire starts going bad and you have to kind of like wiggle it to get it running.
Right.
And you have to hold the machine a certain way to make sure that wire doesn't fuck up.
Yeah.
That was fucking horrible. That was the worst experience ever. I'm pretty sure a lot of OG tattooers know exactly what I'm talking about. And not only the wire in your machine, the wire in the foot pedal. I had a power supply that for years I did not even know it was a push to play. I was holding a foot pedal for years, and one day down the line I was just like, what does this button do? And I held the button and it's just kept the machine on the whole time when I pressed it. And I was like, bro, I've been using a foot pedal this whole time. It's a lot easier to learn how to use tattoo machines now. That's why I said it's like a good thing for a lot of new artists.
Right.
But you still have to understand skin depth, hand speed, trauma to the skin, saturations. You still have to learn a lot of these things in order to become a good tattooer.
Right.
A lot of tattooers nowadays, they feel like they can pick up a machine, do a couple thin line designs, a little sketching, a little here, a little bit of stippling, and it's a nice tattoo. But in order to have a good tattoo, you have to ask these questions. Did it come out well? Did it scar? Did it have complications healing? How will it look in 5 to 10 years? You know, does a person have morals and values? Are they intertwined into the community? Because like sometimes people will come to me and it's not about the money. You know, sometimes people come to me for a design and I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. You know.
Yeah.
Integrity wise, I'm not gonna tattoo your ex-girlfriend's name on your forehead. You know what I'm saying? Like shit like that, I'm just not gonna do. You know what I mean?
Okay, so do you feel like getting names tattooed on you is kind of taboo?
I will tell you this. Tattooers have a saying where it's like, if you get somebody's name is bad juju.
Right.
And a lot of times people have broken up after relationships, after marriages. I mean, I even tattooed a couple who was married for like 20 years. They got their names on each other and they end up divorcing. You know, half me wants to say like, if you're meant to be, you're meant to be. If you're going to break up, you're going to break up.
Right.
Tattooing might not have been the bad juju, but I will highly recommend against people getting names tattooed on them.
Okay.
Just because like I've covered up so many of them.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck, man, let me just give you a good tattoo instead of covering something up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it kind of sucks, you know. I would say in the world we live in nowadays, there's just a lot more breakups and a lot more divorces. So it might not be the tattoo. Get a wise tattoo, you know what I'm saying?
Think about your tattoos.
Exactly.
Think about it.
Get like something that like represents them, zodiac sign, you know,
Right.
an animal or something. Maybe a matching tattoo. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend getting somebody's name. I will say this though. One time this guy came in and he had a girlfriend. I'm not gonna say his name, but his name started with an S and his last name started with an L.
Okay.
And so did his girlfriend. And his girlfriend was pushing so hard to get their names.
Right.
And he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna get each other's names." And I was like, "Since your name's SL and your girlfriend is S and L too, why don't y'all just get each other's initial?" And he was like, "Well, that's a great idea." And she was just like, "Oh no!" And we just kept pushing the issue, like, "Yeah, you should get the SL, get the SL."
Right.
And finally, she was like, "All right." And she goes to like walk up to his restroom. And he was like, "Bro, fucking thank you." I shakes my hand and goes, "Thank you. I did not want her name on me. You saved me." And I was like, "I got you, bro. I've been doing this shit for hella long. I got you, dog."
Because at the end of the day, it's still his own initials.
And the thing is, they ended up breaking up, and he didn't have to get a cover up.
Right.
So it worked out for both of them. Right?
Okay.
So yeah, it worked out for her too, because she hit me up years later. Was like, "I want to get this tattoo," and thank God you changed our minds about getting each other's names. And I was like, "Yeah, you know, I've done this a couple times. You know, I kind of know how it goes." But yeah, that was a funny story.
As an artist, what would you say is one of your biggest pet peeves?
I'm pretty sure every artist has a lot of pet peeves, but I think one of my biggest pet peeves kind of is something self-inflicted. Like whenever I put my own gloves on, I'm like, "Fuck, I forgot to pour my ink back in." Or I put my gloves on and like somebody calls me. That's not self-inflicted, but it's like, fuck, I just put my gloves on. I want to take it back off.
And yeah,
Everybody else, they think it's kind of like such a simple gesture, but I'm like, bro, I went through like 30 pair of gloves, one tattoo. Especially after you just used the restroom and your hands are wet because you just washed them.
Right.
And you didn't do a great job of drying it with the napkin because you're rushing to get back to your tattoo. You put the glove on and your hands are wet. And you're like, fuck, I forgot to fill my ink. Taking off wet gloves and putting wet gloves back on it's a procedure.
But like a little bit of your backstory and everything. So like knowing what you know now, what is some advice that you would give to your younger self?
I would tell my younger self to go with your gut.
Go with your gut?
Okay. Go with your gut, because a lot of times I've made a lot of mistakes listening to other people. And whenever you listen to other people, sometimes you have somebody to blame. But then whenever you listen to yourself, even if you weren't right, at least it's something you learned, and you can't blame anybody else but yourself. That's the best advice I have to anybody, even myself. Just go with your gut.
Go with your gut. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of Inkedin. I want to give a huge thank you to Inkman. Make sure to go follow him on Instagram and like, comment, subscribe to our channel for all the latest updates. We'll see you guys next time.
Ciao.